Welcome back, everyone. In a gripping new 4-part investigative docuseries, our next guest takes us on his quest to uncover the truth behind the deaths of numerous Indigenous people in Thunder Bay, Ontario. Take a look.
An unidentified body has been discovered in a river in Thunder Bay, Ontario.
What the hell is going on here?
So, like, in the realm of possibility, could there have been someone targeting Indigenous people?
The further we dug into those stories, the more I realized that it was almost like pulling a thread off a sweater, and you have to be careful because pretty soon the whole sweater unravels.
The series is fittingly called Thunder Bay, and we have the executive producer and host with us today to tell us about it. Please welcome to the show Anishinaabe journalist and award-winning writer Ryan McMahon. Welcome back, Ryan.
This docuseries is based off the podcast that you did of the same name that was produced by Canada Land. What made you want to revisit and present Thunder Bay in this way?
Yeah, well, in 2018, the podcast series, took a look at what was happening then. And after national media left and international media stopped paying attention to the Thunder Bay story, the Thunder Bay story continued to unravel. And while people went home, we just chose to continue to listen to the community. And as the story evolved or devolved, depending on who you're talking to, it was really clear that there was still more work to do. And 2018 set the table for a bunch of reports and challenges for change in the city. We were told change was happening, and when we went back, we found out that that wasn't true.
Yeah. So Thunder Bay is a place that you know really well, but you dug deeper into the city and its long-standing history with racism in this series. And you said, quote, "I knew some of what we would find, but I had no idea we would find what we did." So what were some of those additional discoveries that you made?
Well, I referenced 2018. There was a report issued by the OIPRD, which is the watchdog of all police services in Ontario. And it challenged the Thunder Bay Police Service in ways that were unprecedented. The number of undetermined deaths and deaths ruled no foul play started to stack up. And I couldn't make sense of why so many deaths were being marked undetermined and with no foul play. And just a tertiary glance, just a quick look, you started to dig just below the surface, and it was clear that not just the work that was being done was insufficient, but there was something more at play there. And through 4 episodes of our series, I think you'll see a very poignant snapshot at how and why systems fail Indigenous people over and over and over again. And it's not sufficient to say, well, that's racism for you, folks. That's not what we're doing. We really want to create the nuance and complex conversation around how our institutions work in communities, not just in Thunder Bay, but across Canada. And I think across North America. I mean, this is a moment where we are looking at whether policing works or not. And I can't lead the defund or abolish conversation. I'm Indigenous, but I'm white passing. I don't get targeted by police officers when I walk down the street. But I wanted to create a space for people to make up their own mind as to whether or not the systems in their towns or cities are working. Yeah.
So one of the ways you do that in the documentary is that you explore 3 theories behind what could have happened with these Indigenous deaths. Could you touch on what these theories are?
Yeah, well, the problem, one of the particular problems in Thunder Bay is that power inside of these institutions, leadership inside of many of the institutions in question, don't go on the record. And so when people refuse to speak to the problems, rumors become the truth. And there had long been rumors about serial killers inside of Thunder Bay. There had been rumors in one particular case of the death of young Jordan Wabass. it was rumored that a young man admitted to killing him and was walking free. There was a rumor about a misidentification of a young man and a gang killing him. And when we dug into these stories and some of the rumors that were out there, what we found was that the initial death investigations had been done so poorly that we couldn't trust the source material. And that's the problem. When racism, discrimination, biases, prejudice find their way into the institutions we all depend on, we have to consider whether or not they can be trusted. And I think it's fair to say that in Thunder Bay, a good number of the population there had lost faith in the Thunder Bay Police Service. The OPP are currently investigating this police service. We are being gaslit into believing that change is afoot. But what we saw during the making of this docuseries was, in fact, that was not the case.
Many of the deaths in Thunder Bay involve Indigenous youth.
Yeah.
And, we've heard this story before. They often will leave their communities and go into Thunder Bay in order to go to high school. They're young people. And you connect this experience to the experience of residential schools. Can you talk about that connection?
Yeah, well, maybe people would be surprised to learn, but across Canada, Indigenous youth in almost every province in this country leave their home communities to go to high school. You know, there are many communities, there aren't high schools in them. And so if you want to get a grade 12 education in Canada and you're Indigenous and you're from a northern community, you're probably going into a town or a city center to get that education. So for anyone watching this and to those of us in the studio, imagine sending your 12, 13, 14-year-old away to a city where maybe they haven't been before at that vulnerable age just so they could learn. And this is what happens in this country over and over and over again. And unfortunately, some of those young people that go away to chase their dreams get hurt, or worse, die.
Yeah.
This is just the tip of the iceberg, and this is why we want to tell people all about the docuseries so they can watch it for themselves. And Ryan, thank you for shedding light on this topic and all the work that you do. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. I know, like us, you're saying, when does this air? Thunder Bay premieres Friday, February the 17th on Crave with the first 2 episodes, and then followed by the final 2 episodes on February the 24th. Please make sure you make that appointment viewing with your friends, with your family.
Hey there, wasn't that great? Do you know where you can find some equally good content? Our YouTube page. It's filled with discussions, debates, and some laughs. Head there now, like and subscribe.